Thank you, Doctor, for being with us. My first question is really on the innovative process. How did you come to innovate and, for that matter, invent the mouse, HDTV, and web domains and so forth? Could you please tell us about that?
So first, maybe a little bit about SRI. SRI is in the middle of Silicon Valley. It's one of the most famous independent research organizations. It's about 2,200 people. We work all around the world, so we get to see what Malaysian people see about what's happening in the world and how exciting this time is. And for 60 years, SRI has been developing big innovations that have literally changed the world. So you mentioned the computer mouse. That was done 40 years ago by one of our scientists, a very famous person. He's won every award you can win in America. His name is Douglas Engelbart. And he not only invented the mouse, but he invented Windows and hypertext and two-way electronic teleconferencing and electronic spreadsheets and a whole host of different things. And SRI, over its history, is literally done things so it would be hard for you not to touch something at SRI every day. So .com, .gov, .org came from SRI. I helped start and lead the team that created the US standard for high-definition television. We won an Emmy for that. My team won a second Emmy for its work on satellite broadcasting of video. We've actually won 12 Emmys over the history of our company. We've done things like a minimally invasive robotic surgery. That's called Intuitive Surgical. We spin out companies every year. And that company is about a $7 billion a year company. And instead of a doctor doing an operation by opening up, let's say, your chest cavity and doing the operation, the doctor can sits across the room, or it could be here in Malaysia doing an operation in Silicon Valley. And what the doctor sees is the little probes put into the chest cavity. And what the doctor sees is in 3D inside your body, and there are little manipulators, so the doctor can do the operation robotically without having to open up your chest cavity. So instead of being in the hospital for weeks after that serious operation, you can literally be out of the hospital the next day or the day after that. So that's been a huge contribution to healthcare, and we're continuing that kind of research. So it goes on and on like this with SRI. We've literally created hundreds of billions of dollars of value with our partners over our history, and I've been fortunate enough to be there and part of that.
You recently launched your book here. It's called Innovation, the 5 Disciplines for Creating What Customers Want. Now, tell us about the process involved in this book, the examples that you use, and can innovation be learned?
Well, it is. We believe that innovation is, we call it a discipline, like calculus is a discipline. It's something that can be learned, it's something that can be improved, and it's something that can be taught and understood by many, many people. So in my company, we take that very seriously, probably as seriously as any company in the world. We really believe in teaching our people how to be successful innovators. And so the book that I wrote is about the process we use and why it works, why it's so effective, why it's so fundamental, and why we teach it to everybody at SRI and why we use the principles across everything we do. So if you want, I could give you some examples at points. Well, we say in the book there are 5 disciplines of innovation that we teach to our people. Work on important problems, not ones that are just interesting. So important, not interesting. The process of value creation, that's number 2. Innovation champions, that's number 3. Innovation teams, that's number 4. And the last one we call organizational alignment. How do you put the ideas inside of an organization so that it can use them and be effective? So let me give you one example. So value creation. So I mentioned we think of that as being a discipline, something that can be taught. So at SRI, when people come in, I actually do a workshop with every new employee on innovation. And we teach them things like this. We teach them the definition of customer value, the most important definition in business. So the purpose of this interview is to create some value for your customers, right? And hopefully we'll give them an idea too that they'll find useful. So you have an opportunity to create value for your customers just like we do. Some innovations are small and some of them are big. The invention of the computer mouse was gigantic, right? Everybody uses that. It's everywhere in the world. It's iconic. Everybody thinks of that. It's the icon for computers and technology. So some are small, some are gigantic. But it's a process to get the answers you need. Reporters, you have a process, right? You do homework, you have certain ideas that you come in with. You have a way to conduct the interview, you have a way to take that information and filter it down. You have a process as a reporter. Well, we as innovators of technology have a process too. So, I mentioned, first we define, make sure everyone knows what customer value is. It's benefits over costs, by the way. But what does that mean in your business? So we spend time defining what this means for our customers. Another example is, what's the definition of a value proposition? It's probably the most used term in business. People always say, what's the value proposition? What's the value proposition? But surprisingly, very few people know the definition of a value proposition. So we teach that to all of our employees. And our definition is, we call it NABC, very simple. What's the important need? Not things that are just interesting. We want to work on things that will matter to the marketplace and to our customers. Important, not interesting, N. What's our approach to address that need? Is it unique? Is it compelling? Is it defensible? Then the third thing is, what are the benefits per cost? That's the value of this idea. And how does that value compare to the competition and all the alternatives that people can use their time on in the marketplace? So need, approach, benefits, and competition. And we teach that NABC to all of our employees, and we use it for everything within SRI because we believe answering those 4 questions is fundamental to everything we do. So it's a simple example, but what it does is it speeds up the innovation process because we have a common language, so we can talk about value to the customer, why it's unique. Is it a big important need, or is it something that nobody cares about? So things like that we teach across all of SRI.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your background and what you did in university and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I started out as a violinist. I played violin professionally at 15, and for a while I was going to be a professional violinist. But I decided that I enjoyed science more, so I went to Worcester Polytechnic Institute in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I became a physicist. Then I went on to Rutgers to get my PhD. I was hired by RCA, where I led a number of projects. I helped start the high-definition television program there and many other things. And I did both really basic research as well as engineering sorts of tasks. Then RCA was bought by General Electric, and for about 2 years I was in GE, and I got to know Jack Welch and other people in GE. And then my company, which is a part of SRI, the Sarnoff Corporation, was bought by SRI, so the laboratory part of RCA became part of SRI. And after that, I learned many of the things that we're talking about. I realized that I had to become profoundly better at innovation. And my team and I got together and we dedicated ourselves not only to being successful at the things we were doing, like high-definition television, which we succeeded at, but we also wanted to learn about innovation. And we had a little process that we used. Every 2 weeks we'd get together, and everybody would stand up and in 5 minutes describe what they were working on, their value proposition in ABC, and share one idea about innovation so we could all get smarter and be better at it. And that started a lifelong discovery of how do we do this better? How do we take more risk out of it? How do we help people learn the skills they need to be successful in this world?
Thank you, Doctor, for being with us.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Not a journalist
by
training. I approach the story. Okay, and we don't need to talk about this now, which is really